Okay, so this is a whole lot darker than I thought it was gonna be. I was just about to say, man, I look bright as hell. That is not what I look like. Okay, cool beans. Uh, anyway, this is Sid the Kid. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, comment, message, all that good stuff. So, this is just another little bit of gossip topics that have been happening lately, that I have been paying attention to and just kind of watching and laughing at a lot of the stuff that's going on. So, let's just jump right into it. So, we have a lot of controversy going on right now with a new live action movie. It's going to be The Little Mermaid. And they have picked this girl. Her name is Chloe, Hallie, Chloe. Really, really, really pretty girl that used to sing on YouTube with her sister, and then Beyonce signed them to her label or what have you. So exceptional voice. Like, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. When they were talking about all the things that she's done, I'm just like, okay, we get it. She's talented. Okay, it's cool. But that's only because I'm low key a hater. So I'm working on it. That's okay. I have to be able to admit it. That's how you change. So I thought it was gonna be beautiful because they had this gorgeous picture of her, and she's like very slight and petite, and she's got these glowing, like she's got these red dreads, and obviously you know how much I love red. She has these red dreads, and I'm like, dude, that is like super edgy. I really think I like that. I think this is going to be super dope. I honestly thought the next live action mermaid was probably going to be like an Asian chick or something. And I'm like, damn, they big mad. I did not expect. I guess I just didn't expect the backlash from bigots and colonizers and mayo made people. Because most people were like super excited, like, oh, what's this gonna look like? Like, just open to it being different. And from what I remember, if I'm not mistaken, like, we didn't even get any kind of representation from Disney until Princess Tiana. And if I'm not mistaken, that was in like 2008 or 2009. And I think they started making these Disney princess movies in like the late 30s, early 40s. So went almost a good 70 years without any type of representation. But suddenly Ariel is a fictional fish. Fictional fish they're so staunch that it's from this story that came from Denmark and so on and so forth. And I'm just like, Cinderella was German, but Brandy, like, fuck that shit up. Like, I'm talking, let me tell you something. When you are a little black girl growing up and you see something like Cinderella, I think it's the Hammerstein version that came on ABC when we were kids with Brandy and Whoopi and Whitney Houston, I'm talking like you just go throughout this house being like, impossible, like all day long. Like it's the best thing in the world because you are seeing like you're seeing a multicultural presentation and you're seeing yourself finally. And it's so funny because it's like I saw this meme that was basically stating just that, and it was just like, you guys are just some spoiled ass racists. Like, nobody gets a shot. Like, I don't understand why it's upset. And the responses that people are having are like, yeah, how would you feel if it was if Aladdin didn't picked white people instead of Indian people? Okay, the movie's called Aladdin, baby. You know, like it's actually like this is actually something that is around. You know, they have a song called Arabian Nights. Like, okay, white people aren't there. That's the point. We're talking about like a fictional fish. Like, that doesn't make sense to me for everybody to be so upset about this. And the fact that, you know, you're changing a fictional character's race, it's like, it was like when the James Bond thing came out and they were like all upset that Idris Elba was going to do it. I didn't understand that at all because I'm just like, first of all, Idris Elba. Oh, moment of silence for the sexy. That's first and foremost. Good God. And then secondly, like, he would obviously do like a bomb ass job as Bond. I certainly feel. Then people were like, oh my goodness, you can't make Bond black. You do realize he's a made up character. Like I can understand if let's say they were doing a live action Mulan and they hired this same girl, I would be like, okay, well, that doesn't, match because her name's Mulan. She's fighting in the Hun War. We weren't there. Do you see what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense to me. And it's like for some reason we can have movies that are based on Egyptians, and then they're all completely whitewashed. Which, by the way, I am not talking about Cleopatra. Cleopatra was not a black woman. Do not know why people think this so hardcore. They're like, oh my goodness, you're whitewashing Cleopatra. Listen, she was white to begin with, baby. Just let's clear that shit up. Amazing, powerful lady. Like, she made fucking history, but she's just not a black woman. And so, but when you're talking about actual Egyptians, this is where I'm like, okay, roll up. Because read a motherfucking book. It's not that hard for you to bone up on these things and see exactly where people come from. And I feel like if we're talking about a certain race of people, if we have something that's based in a culture, then I can completely understand where you're coming from. Absolutely. It was a story that, was, I guess, written by a Danish person based in the Netherlands or whatever, which is totally fine, but it's still a story that might have been created by somebody who was Danish, but it's still a fictional story because it's a fucking mermaid. I actually went on to a post earlier and I was just like, drinks white tears, because just the bigotry was just like everybody crying, everybody's upset, and then everybody's like, oh my goodness, you're totally derailing this conversation, and I'm like, I'm sorry to you, moderator, but I'm not sorry about what I said at all. Like, I'm really not. Like, I'm gonna say my piece and then I'll block your ass because I don't give a fuck. Moving on. Just because I think that one was a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I think that's just because that was really grinding my gears here. Okay, so on the same train of colorism and trash ass people, Chris Brown. Okay, so Chris Brown has a song, and I'm not a huge Chris Brown fan, and not for the obvious reasons. I'm just, he comes up with a bop every so often. And I'm not huge on cancel culture that doesn't involve R. Kelly. So I'm not really huge on canceling people. But I think that we've all known that Chris Brown is a trash ass person. So recently he came out with a song and it says something like, I would only fuck bitches with good hair. Something along those lines. And of course, or nice hair. And then, of course, people were saying, oh, that's not what he means. And then even he turned around and instead of like saying, this is what my version of good hair is, and then, hopefully talk to a publicist and you put a range of like colors and variations and from like, 2A to 4B, 4C, type hair. Instead of doing that, he just gets back online and was just like, the only people are mad are the ugly bitches. I must be full of myself. Because I got a problem, and this is not no ugly bitch. And when I say I have a problem, I was actually more or less kind of shocked that people were upset, because it's like, we know that he's kind of got colorist, no, not kind of. He's got very colorist tendencies. It's a fact. And I remember when he was in Miami. I don't remember what year it was. I know I was young and it was a while ago. But and I'm not a frequenter of like clubs and anything like that. But I remember when I went in, I had and of course it's Miami, so there's like I had two black homegirls with me, and I had two Latin homegirls with me, and we were all about to go inside this club where Chris Brown apparently was supposed to be sat, and we knew somebody in there, so we were getting in for free. So we're just like, we're feeling ourselves this evening and everything, full makeup and heels on, and of course slippers in my purse because God knows the heels are just for pictures, okay? And usually I'm sitting down because I'm not trying to like fall while I wait for you to take a fucking picture. But I digress. So when we got in there and we're looking at the sections and so on and so forth, and we see Chris Brown's section, one of my homegirls was just like, oh, maybe we could get up there, blah, blah, blah. Now, only because That's just not my zhuzh. I get embarrassed very easily. I'm just like, I don't, what if he, I don't want to, like, that's how I am with most situations like that. And and I think it was one of my Spanish homegirls and one of my black homegirls went up there, and he said, oh, we can take you and any of your other friends, but we can't take you. But she was like, these are my friends. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry then. So even from then, obviously we all just left because I don't have trash ass, people in my circle. But when we all left, and we were all like, whoa, that shit is deep though. Cause you really just said it. You can't, like, a real talk, you can't sit with us because, you don't look, you're darker than this clipboard. We don't do that here. And it was so, it's just so Jim Crowish, like, to be honest with you. And, but again, don't understand why people are surprised by any of Chris Brown's behavior. We know that he's a stalker. We know that he's on drugs. We also know that, he has violent tendencies. I'm not going to go ahead and call him a wife beater, but we know that he has, violent tendencies. And the only reason, I digress a little bit, that I don't call him a wife beater is because, when he and Rihanna had that huge thing that happened, and even though we didn't really get a whole lot of information in exactly what happened, I'm still thinking to myself, you was fighting a island bitch, and we can be kind of violent. So I think that was more like a 50-50 instead of, or maybe like even a 60-40 instead of like just an all-out beat down. I don't feel like the story was misconstrued, and obviously he's wrong and he's bigger and he should know that. And I think that was really what the end of the story should have been. But at the same time, I was still like, that bitch is from Barbados. They crazy. Which, and coming from Jamaican descent, I feel like I can say, but at the same time, like, we already know, like, he's a stalker. He goes after Karuchi. He goes after, like, all of these girls. I remember one time we saw a clip of Chris Brown being like, I'll never let you be happy. You'll never be, if you're without me, I will make sure that I make your life miserable, or something along those lines. I was like, oh, good God. So, he's crazy. If he comes out with a bop, I will go ahead and listen to it. I've never rushed to go see his music. I've never gone to a concert. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. To be honest, between you and me, I just don't think that it should be like everybody's like in shock, like, how could you, or what have you. I think that's ridiculous. Oh, I did see Tokyo Vanity go ahead and drag the shit out of Chris Brown, and I was like, man, I love her and Superset and all of them, because she was just like, oh, we don't do cocoa. I was like, she makes me happy. I'm not even gonna lie. Moving on. So in other idiotic entertainment news, Lala Anthony and Carmelo Anthony. As we all know, a little while back, he went ahead and cheated, had a baby on her. They were separated, just not legally or what have you. And they were working on it. You saw all these really pretty posts like, oh my goodness, it's Valentine's and you're the woman of my life and your eyes are like the moon, whatever. So after all of that, they catch him like on a boat with somebody else, and they blast him for it because they believe that he's cheating. He gets on IG, and he's like, "Oh, this couldn't have happened. Stop! You're fucking up my family. You're fucking up this, and this is not the way it's like. It's like she's got a whole relationship out here. I have a wife. She has a husband. You're putting me in a fucked up position. It's not necessary." Come to find out, all this shit is true. And so basically, Lala Anthony was like, you got me fucked up. Ooh, nigga got me fucked up. Not today. Not the one. Like, she was like, okay, so now legal separation. And this is how, this is how people fuck up. Like, you can't be loud and wrong. I'm just saying, you can't have both ways. You gotta pick a struggle. And basically that's what's going on. So moving on. It's like, nobody feels sorry for him, and I sure as hell don't. So in not so fun, more, I guess, politically based news or what have you. So the police just recently arrested a man at the hospital who went to go take a walk, and the security guard accused him of stealing hospital equipment, the IV that he was hooked up to. He accused him of stealing that. And I feel like people just decided to say fuck it and just eat lead chips all day. Just who gives a fuck anymore about our brains, our lives, what have you? Like, and like, I'm embarrassed. That's embarrassing. And this is actually something that happens, and this is actually something goes on and like, I cannot tell you, like, I remember I had a kidney infection, and it was, I think it was back in like 2011, 2012 or something like that. Right. And, I remember them telling me, like, you have to ambulate, you have to walk, and I would literally, my homegirl, at the time, who I was really close to at the time, she came and she visited me, and we would walk around the hospital grounds together, and then she would let me smoke a spliff or something like that because I was upset or angry or, well, just being in the hospital, and it really sucked. That was, years ago. And, like, I can't imagine going out, being hooked up to an IV and having somebody, like, approach me and say some shit like, I think you're stealing. I feel like I would still be there standing like, what? Because it doesn't make any sense. And they went on, the boy who was obviously falsely arrested, when they actually did arrest him, just to go ahead and clear this point up, he actually had like a seizure and an asthma attack in the backseat of that car. They took away his inhaler. Like nobody is thinking like human rights violations, like, at all. And we're supposed to be like, this is the USA, this is the best country in the world. Like, how do you expect people to continue saying shit like that when stuff like this can happen? It's really sad. It's really sad. And it's like, I feel like people have gotten to the point where they're so numb that they don't even care anymore. Like, for instance, just the other day, there was another woman who was like walking out of a store with her little 4-year-old, and the 4-year-old grabbed a dolly from this dollar store, and the police came out and swarmed, and like, guns drawn, put the baby down. I'm going to bust a cap in your head, and like just violent and horrible, and like screaming at her to put the baby down. And I am so glad that there were other people recording it, because I feel like these recordings are really saving lives, because then they look around and we're like, oh, we're not alone. We can't just get away with whatever in this particular situation. But I mean, it's really sad. It's really fucked up, and it saddens me that this is the situation, because I know so many like white people who are absolutely disgusted with this. And then it's so sad that when I walk out into the regular world and I'm not around my comfort, my friends, the people that I know love and care about me, and the people who I know love and care about the same issues that I do, and going out into the regular world where people are just like, well, she shouldn't teach her daughter to steal. Like everybody's just doing meth now. Like, it really feels like living in bizarro world. Like, I don't understand, like, how people are not more afraid. There's all of, and in separate news, there's all of these ICE sweeps. If you know me, you know that I am first generation American. So this really does hurt my heart. The things that are going on in concentration camps. You've got babies taking care of babies. You have people telling like these innocent people to drink out of toilets if they want water, and this is supposed to be the land of the free. You're like, who are you talking to? Who are you saying these things to? Because it's not true. And like, when I saw some of those pictures about like all of these concentration camps and all of these things that are happening and stuff, it was Like and I don't mean to like get emotional, but I really started to like bawl. I was crying because these are real people, and for some reason like they're showing like dead migrants on TV, and I feel like whenever it comes to brown and black bodies, we're like always seeing them in death on screen, and it's like I feel like they're trying to numb society so they can get used to seeing it, so that there won't be an uproar later, so that the only people that feel affected by it are the ones that look like the people on screen getting shot. R.I.P. Philanda Castile, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, and I don't even think that we have an ending number at this point, because I feel like it's happening as we speak. Moving on, I want to see if I can wrap this up in the next couple of minutes. So presidential debate, I don't really have very much to say for the Democratic nominees. All I know is that if the person that wins is not for universal health care, free education, and actually doing something real about climate change, and actually doing something real about the migration, the immigration issues that are going on in this country that would be human and fair. If that's not going on, I ain't voting. So I'm sorry. Say whatever you want. I'm just not going to do it. I'll be like, okay, so I'm moving to Canada now because my mother's getting older and there's no future for us here if this is the kind of shit that can go down. Oh, I forgot to even mention it. So apparently there was a whole school that was opened by ICE, and it was like a pay to stay kind of thing. So in order for you to get your student visa, they would go ahead and pretend you're going to school while these people were working and trying to like send money home to their families. But now they have a student visa that they can stay on, when in actuality, ICE had created this whole thing so they could see who was illegal and who they could deport. So I don't know what version of entrapment that is, but that's entrapment. Happy, everybody's like saying happy 4th of July. I'll say it too. It's not something I celebrate because people who look like me weren't free when the 4th of July was going on. So I do more of a Juneteenth type of thing. So I don't care if anybody else celebrates 4th of July. It's just not my zhuzh. It's just not, because I want to celebrate when I was free. Like, I'm glad y'all got independence, but I didn't, you know what I mean? So, or at least, my descendants and my ancestors certainly didn't. So it's just not my zhuzh. I don't feel like it should be like, offensive to people. I feel like people should understand. I feel like it should be like, oh, well, that's not something that they feel involves them. Because, when everybody else was free, they still came back and we were slaves. I don't know. It shouldn't be a big deal. I also don't think anybody should be shamed into not celebrating it. I'm not here to go ahead and condone that either. I'm not going to shame anybody, but if anybody asks me why I don't celebrate, I'm very easy to say this is why. I don't think that's a big deal. I feel like everybody can do whatever the fuck that they want. I think that's the way it should work, honestly. For that, I think I did it all. All right, well, that's it. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble on all crazy like I have been. I'm obviously bored out of my mind at work, so I really appreciate being able to make these videos and like to get everything out. So again, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you in the next one. I think I will be doing Love After Lockup next, because I just downloaded the episode and bitch, it's gonna be juicy. I'm excited. I really am. All right, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.